Board of Education for Brevard High School District 228 to order. May I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Canning. Ms. Gleason. Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Jones.
Aye.
Mrs. Campbell here. Mrs. Ressler.
Aye.
Ms. Stearns.
Here. Please rise for the pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the January 17th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Jones, second by Ms. Ressler. Is there any discussion?
Mrs. Jones.
Aye.
Mrs. Ressler.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mrs. Campbell, aye. Ms. Stearns.
Aye. Board recognition.
Good evening. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Nick Halikias to come on and join me. Nick is here representing the Odyssey Country Club, and there's a whole list of reasons. I have my little cheat sheet here to talk about why it is definitely our recommendation for the Odyssey Country Club to receive the District 228 Board Award. First of all, they're just outstanding community partners. Whatever he can help with, Nick is always there to help. He'll always say, what do you need? How can I help? He's always supporting different programs, different activities, athletics, all different things that go on within our school, whether it may be with the facilities or donations. He's just always there lending a hand. I think in the springtime, I'm there for 3 or 4 different events, from employer banquets to Illinois Principal Association student recognition breakfasts, all different things that take place at their beautiful facility, which, by the way, is being fully renovated, and they're having a ribbon cutting on March 8th. So he took me on a little sneak peek to see some of the changes, and I have to tell you that they're quite impressive. Aside from those things, I also get calls to showcase our students' talents, to sing the national anthem at the Veterans Golf outings that they host at the Odyssey. Our students love that, and they love to celebrate and showcase their talents. They host several of our staff events, including they're going to be the host of an upcoming track fundraiser that is to be held. And they're also the home practice course for our boys and girls golf teams as well. Those, I think, are enough items to say why they're such good partners, but it's actually this last item that stands out the most to me. And I know Ms. Stearns and Ms. Ressler attended. Last June, I was on the SSC board to host an all-state event for the 14 schools in our conference to celebrate all the first place state awards that our schools have won over the last 10 years of the SSC. I was also in charge of finding a facility that would host this event. The thing is, we had no idea how many people would come to this event. It might have been 100 people, and it could have been 1,000 people. So when you go to a venue to try to book it and say, hey, it could be 100, it could be 1,000, what do you think? There's not many people that would be willing to work with you on that. And although I don't think I freaked Nick out, he seemed pretty calm when we had the conversation. He just kept saying, let's do it. Let's see how it goes. We had over 500 people in attendance. It was truly an awesome event because of the venue. He suggested the professional sound people that we worked with. They worked with us with the backdrops. I mean, it couldn't have been easier to work with Nick and his people at the Odyssey, and really turned out to be a very amazing event for 10 years of students in 14 local high schools. So again, hats off. I can't thank you enough. I didn't freak out because you had to do all the cooking and organizing and all of that, but the feedback that we got was amazing. And for those reasons, I would like to present Nick Halikias to you, and we'd love for you to present him with the District 228 Board Award.
On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to present the Volunteer of Excellence Award to you. The Board of Education presents this award to the Odyssey Country Club on February 2017. You have helped to provide a positive learning environment for the students of District 228 by the time and talents you share. Thank you for caring. Tinley Park, from all 4 schools, on behalf of this award, I would like to present this to you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Dr. Nolan, thank you very much for all the kind words you said. You know, it's truly a partnership that we stand in the community here. We've been here in Tinley for 25 years now. So being part of that and being part of the school board as well with everything, with all the events that we've done in the past, we truly look forward to continue this partnership with you guys and for the students as well. You know, the children here are what bring us together as well. So we really want to keep that partnership together and move forward with that. Thank you guys, and we look forward, if anybody wants to come up, March 8th is our grand reopening, so we'll be doing that from 5 to 7 at night. We'd love for everybody to attend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to our presentations, good news reports.
Good evening. I'd like to present Shalisa Butler on behalf of Hillcrest High School to present our good news report for this month.
Good evening. My name is Shalisa Butler, and I'm a junior at Hillcrest High School. I'm a member of Business Professionals of America, Keep Club, Junior Leadership, and the National Honor Society. And now, your good news. As part of Hillcrest's continuing focus on academic achievement, as expressed in the slogan Destination Graduation, on Friday, January 13th, 2017, Hillcrest High School sponsored a celebration in honor of students who have demonstrated academic success at Hillcrest during the first semester of the 2016-2017 school year. All students passing all classes for the first semester were invited to the event in the gym after 7th period. Special recognition was shown to students who earned all A's and B's during the first semester. These students received a special t-shirt with the motto, "I slayed my grades." These t-shirts were a gift made possible by the generous donations of Hillcrest faculty, administration, and staff. On Saturday, February 4th, the Joliet area South Suburban Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated hosted its 2nd annual Youth Empowerment Conference at Hillcrest High School. The purpose was to focus on social and economic issues teens face in their daily lives and provide them with the opportunity to learn about tools and resources to help them and their parents make positive and informed decisions to take charge of their lives. Several Hillcrest students served as ambassadors and assisted with the smooth running of the conference. Hillcrest wishes to acknowledge the continuing accomplishments of Hillcrest's GPA class. 4 students, Pierre Tutson, Aaliyah Arzu, Rakib Yarrow, and Darlene Moore-Jones, were invited to speak at the Hazelcrest Area Chamber of Commerce's annual meeting. They spoke of their involvement in GPA and received offers of employment and internships for themselves and their fellow classmates. Further, at the BPA Regional Leadership Conference, 7 students demonstrated sufficient mastery to advance to the State Leadership Conference in Oak Brook. Congratulations to Tia Pollard, Caleb Henderson, Aaliyah Arzu, Dolores Ivory, Shalisa Butler, Ruth Roberts, and Faith Burden on their advancement. Hillcrest would also like to recognize 3 novice speech team members who achieved success at the Ram Yam speech tournament: Ariane Douglas, Shamari Bowie, and Tyler Allen. 2 Scholastic Bowl team members were recently named All-Conference: Timian Oyayemi and Sammy Barnado. In the SSC Conference, seniors Kyler Cornelius and Marcus Garrett were named the SSC Basketball Players of the Year. Congratulations to Pierre Tutson, Akawande Mashiyaro, Brandon Harper, and Azina Simadu on a well-rested sectional tournament. Brandon and Azina were qualified to compete at the IHSA State Wrestling Tournament at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Finally, you are invited to the Hillcrest 50th Anniversary Gala this Saturday beginning at 6 p.m. Tickets are $30 and can be purchased at Hillcrest High School. Hillcrest is the home of the Hawks. Hawks are swift, intensely focused, and powerful creatures. They are intelligent, wise, and proud. It's good to be a Hawk. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Bremen High School, we have Katie Ostrowski here to talk a little bit about the good news at Bremen High School and herself, that she's a finalist or was a finalist in the Voice of Democracy competition. Take it away, Katie.
Hi.
Hi.
On behalf of President representing Bremen High School, I'm a junior. I'm a member of the NHS Student Council on the swim team. And I also just placed 5th in state for the Voice of Democracy competition. For our good news report, 5 Bremen High School National Honor Society students, along with our NHS sponsor, Mr. Terry Stevens, who's graduating this year, this is last year, joined thousands of other students across the nation at the 2017 WEED conference in Washington, D.C. They were able to experience the Leadership Experience and Development Conference, which offers an opportunity for National Honor Society students from across the nation to network with their peers. On Thursday, February 2nd, 2017, Bremen's Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, the FCCLA program, students hosted their 2nd annual Skate for a Cure. This year, the students raised money for Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago in memory of our classmate Paola Zambrano, who would have been graduating this year. On Saturday, February 4th, 2017, Bremen High School's Gay Straight Alliance, or GSA Club, volunteered their time at Ronald McDonald House in Chicago, the Hyde Park, Illinois. The GSA students spent their time at Ronald McDonald's house near the University of Chicago's Commer Children's Hospital. The students cooked and served brunch, cleaned the kitchen, and learned about the mission and purpose of Ronald McDonald House. And lastly, Bremen High School is proud to announce that the 2017 chess team represented Bremen High School's District 228 at the IHSA state competition in Peoria, Illinois 2 weeks ago. The Bremen Braves finished top 10 in Class 3A. And remember, we have pride.
Good evening, everyone. Oak Forest High School rep unfortunately got sick at the last minute, and so she canceled out, so I'll just give you a couple of our highlights. Some of our clubs are doing really well. Business Professionals, DECA, and FCCLA have had a number of successes. BPA qualified 32 students for the state competition. DECA has 24 entries in the state competition, and FCCLA competitors took 2nd place in regionals for frosted cake decorations. Our wrestling team had 7 wrestlers qualify for the state tournament this past weekend, including Eric Brenner. He took 3rd place at state, and we wrestled tonight, and we're winning. When I left, did we end up winning that then, Bill?
We won.
We won?
Yeah.
Okay. We were, and we'll move on to the state duel tournament on Saturday in Bloomington.
9 o'clock Saturday.
9 o'clock Saturday morning.
Sorry.
Our bowling team qualified for the first time for a team as a whole for finals since 2009. Keith Peterson won the individual varsity conference championship for the 3rd year in a row, and Josh Boger ended up finished 3rd in state and individually in bowling. Our cheerleaders did a fantastic job again this year, and they finished 3rd in state. Our POMs also qualified for state, and were able to take 7th in state as well. So we're very proud of our accomplishments for this month. Thank you.
I don't know if she needs any introduction because you might have seen her on TV already, but I would like to introduce Carolina Carrillo. That's going to give Tinley Park's Good News Report, and then we have another introduction as soon as she's finished. So come on over, TV
Hi.
star.
I'm Carolina Carrillo. I'm a senior at Tinley Park High School, and I'm here reporting the Good News for Tinley Park. 34 BPA Titans competed in area competitions that were held at South Suburban College in DeVry. Our students competed with 11 other area schools. The BPA Titans had a fantastic showing. 22 of our students qualified for state in 17 different events, including banking and finance, database, graphic design, web design, interview, and presentation management. 12 students qualified in 2 events. Special mention goes out to senior Carolina Carrillo, who placed first in both events. The Titans will now advance to state competition this March in Oak Grove. The Titan Art Department would like to congratulate Gabrielle Katakis on winning an $8,000 scholarship to the American Academy of Art. Gabby placed in the top 10% of all high school seniors that competed in the senior scholarship competition. Congratulations, Gabby. Congratulations to the Tinley Park Honors Jazz Ensemble for coming in first place at the North Shore Jazz Festival on Saturday, January 21st. The band competed against 8 other Class A schools. Great job. Congratulations to the Tinley Park Scholastic Bowl team for the epic victory at the SSC Conference Meet. Both JV and varsity walked away as first place winners. Mark Oberg, Sean Ford, and Anna Miller made the all-conference roster for toss-up questions. Great job to the coaches, Jeremy Canning and Mark Rice. The team will compete at regionals on March 6th. Congratulations to the varsity cheerleading team on their amazing season. They finished second place in the SSC Conference, placed second at sectionals, and qualified for state. They were stunning with their performance at state and advanced to the final round. Way to show your Titan spirit, girls. And then last week was National Random Acts of Kindness Week, and some of the Tinley Park soccer girls went throughout Tinley Park performing different random acts of kindness. We went to the fire stations in Tinley Park, giving the firefighters cake pops and cookies. We also stopped by Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks, and we walked up to the drive-thru and paid for some of the customers' orders. And it was actually really nice to see that they kind of passed it forward, and the next customer would pay for the next one, and they just kind of kept it going. And then to follow up with that, on Thursday, some of us went to Funston Elementary to give 100 first through third graders bikes and scooters. And we actually appeared on Channel 2 CBS, so way to go, girls soccer.
Her good news report because the piece of the good news report is actually here. So I'd actually like Coach Pfeffer and Joe Trauskis and Joey Davies to come on down. Brandon Catlett should be here too, but he's at home sick. A lot of stuff going around.
Yeah.
This is our good news report for our Titan wrestling program. We had 3 Titan wrestlers that just competed at state this weekend. Joe Petrowskis, Joey Davies. For Joey Davies, it's his second time downstate, and he's actually a 5th place state relay winner from last year as well. And obviously Coach Pfeffer. The reason why I wanted them to come and be recognized though by the board or be part of our good news report is I want everyone to know that, well, Brandon's not here, but these 3 wrestlers, the first time they ever wrestled was here at Tinley Park High School. And they went through Coach Pfeffer's program and went downstate, Joey going downstate twice. So that's quite an accomplishment, you know, in this day and age when everyone's doing privatizing and wrestling and programs and clubs and leagues and all of these things. For him to be able to send 3 wrestlers downstate who started their wrestling careers at Tinley Park High School is pretty darn impressive. So I'm going to let Coach say a few words here.
Thank you, Dr. Muller. Appreciate it. Just by being a state qualifier, automatically these young men are top 16 in the state. And for us to go back and talk to the freshmen at the freshman only days, and for me to talk to the athletic banquets that we have the opportunity to say, if you buy into what we're selling and you're willing to put that time in and make the sacrifices, we can get you some pretty impressive places. And the proof has been there in the program the last couple of years with having so many state qualifiers that it's certainly an accomplishment. Last 2 years we fell 1 match short. We had wrestlers, had they won 1 more match, they would have been automatically top 6 and come home with a medal. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to crack that nut here real soon, and that we're going to be able to say, yeah, we've taken kids that we had to show how to put the single down on day 1 to their tops in the state by the time they're through our program their senior year. So in wrestling is so strong in this district. Obviously we had our qualifiers. Bremen had 3 qualifiers. Hillcrest had their 2 qualifiers, and Oak Forest had 7 qualifiers, 3 state placers, and the wrestling and the team state duels. And we're in the mix with every one of them, and we're starting with kids that are coming out to our program, as a freshman. Well done. So, just want you to know. And that is obviously the hardest part, is how long the season is. To keep up in a winter sport is a mental and physical grind. Sure is. And you guys have done a great job with it. Joey being a 2-time qualifier, and he was also qualified for state track as well. So we're attracting some of the best athletes.
What weight did you guys run?
What weight? I was 152 last year and 160, but I both bumped up weight class both years.
So actually Joey was underweight, he moved up each year to a higher weight class than he'd wrestled because we thought the path downstate was better at that higher weight.
Right.
And it worked out both times.
I wrestled too, so I know.
Yeah. So, and, Joey here qualified for us at 182 pounds, and I don't think he tipped the scale any heavier than 175.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, so we kind of go the opposite ways where most programs are cutting guys down and trying to get them. We go the other way. Lift, eat, be healthy, and you'll see what happens at the end of the season after guys have been struggling so much with it. You're in a better position. So, all right. Thank you
guys. Thank you. Dr. Conroe, you want to join me? No, you're good. You're good. Tonight's presentation is it's a little bit of an interesting one because it's significantly unfinished, and I'm not quite sure where the end actually really is. You know, I went to a conference last year. I always go to the ASCD National Conference, and I think Randy gets nervous every time I go away because when I go to these conferences, it's energizing, and you hear new ideas, and you meet different people who are doing all these different things in schools. And the one session that I went to was on individualized school improvement. And you know, I think that we did okay with our school improvement. You know, we would do a needs assessment, find out what the teachers wanted, find out what, you know, professional development they were looking for. We would orchestrate it, you know, breakout sessions, generally using our own people as the guides or the teachers of that professional development. But we're definitely having conversations about that those teachers who are always leading the professional development are not getting professional development. I mean, there's something to be said for teaching something and being the leader of something, but they too have certain interests and avenues that they would like to undertake as well, instead of always being the one, you know, teaching everybody else. So I went to this session, and they truly talked about individualized school improvement. I didn't understand how that could kind of come to be until I sat there and I started comparing it very much to a course that I teach with Lewis, the educational research course. And so I'm texting Randy in the middle of the session saying, what do you think about this? Do you think this would work? I'm taking pictures of the slides. And now I know he's freaking out because he knows I'm coming home with something that we need to talk about. So we do, as soon as I come back, and you know, I saw the same interest in Randy, and it was just more about how do we make this happen. We took that idea to our school improvement team. Our school improvement team kind of said the same thing. Sounds interesting. Sounds like something we'd be interested in. And we kind of took a little bit of a leap of faith and said, okay, come the fall, we're going to orchestrate this ISIT, Individual School Improvement Program, as an option. If teachers wanted to take advantage, or I should say staff, wanted to take advantage of this, they could, or they could continue to engage in the traditional school improvement opportunities that we offered. Randy and I had a little wager going on early on to find out how many teachers would actually, who would actually want to, a friendly wager, who would actually want to take on the ISIP versus the traditional SIP that we now refer to as TSIP. Randy, what was your percentage?
I was the negative one. I don't even remember.
10. He said 10% of our staff would take advantage of it. I said 50. I was hoping for 50%, when in actuality we had 80% of our staff sign on to do this. And so I take zero credit for where this has taken us, and I get really kind of giddy and excited when I hear about all these different projects that are going on and what it's already done to impact our schools and our district and actually where it's going to go. And the only credit I take is that I was a good listener at a session at an ASCD conference, and I brought it back and put it in the hands of these fantastic people behind me. So we're going to talk to you guys about the projects that they declared that they were interested in doing some research on to improve their craft. They spend time looking into it. They spend time looking at to where they can get training, where they can network with other teachers, network with other schools, go to conferences, and what they needed to learn about whatever their choice was to make them better at what they do. And the thing is, they got to pick what they're interested in. In your packets in front of you, the little Titan ISIP, you will see the teachers listed in the different projects that they're working on, which again, I read it and it just makes me smile that all these different interests are actually in action in some way, shape, or form, you know, in these halls. I have a small sampling of those projects that are taking place right here behind me, and I'm just going to have them stand up, introduce themselves, tell you about their project and where it's at. And, you know, this may be something that they're going to continue into next year and the next year, and it may take another path or a different avenue. But I believe that the things that you're reading about in front of you will be things that are going to be tangibly felt here at Tinley Park High School and possibly throughout the district. So, again, my hats off and thanks goes to the teachers, and actually I have some students here as well. But I'm going to let them get started and tell you about what their projects are and what they've done, and I hope you're just as impressed with it as I am. Oh, look at I got scared thinking I was going to start with you, didn't you?
I'm Jean Unick. I teach English here at Tinley Park High School.
I'm Pete Sansoni. I teach science here at Tinley.
And initially, Pete and I were not necessarily working together. I think there were a number of people who had expressed that they wanted to pursue something having to do with technology, and technology being very rapidly evolving. One of the things that I think we as teachers always talk about is we just need time. We just need time to be able to sit down and sift through all these things and use some of the technology that we feel is going to best benefit our students. So we were offered an opportunity to go to a conference, and we did back in October. And the first session that we saw was something called Pear Deck. And it was software, and right from the very get-go of it, we were just kind of blown away by what it could do. So I'm going to let Pete kind of explain.
So in short, what it is, it's an internet tool that allows us to take presentations like PowerPoint or Google Slides and turn it into something a little more interactive for students. We can take those presentations, already created presentations that are PowerPoints or slides, and then embed questions into it that students can answer on their iPads in real time. And while students are answering on their iPads, I'm monitoring the responses here. I can choose to present the responses on the board or choose to hide them. It's all anonymous as well. I can see who's answering what and who's doing what on their iPads. But when I put it on the board, it's anonymous for them. So that kind of takes some of the fear that students might have about presenting their answers. It gets students engaged in the lesson instead of just listening or just taking notes. It gets them actively participating. There are many different versions of questions we can ask, from multiple choice to freehand drawing, free response, to draggable objects, number free response questions. It's usable for all topics, English, science. I teach physics as well, which is a lot of math involved in when I'm using it. So history for sure. We see it useful in every topic. It also allows us to save all those responses, export them directly to students. So any answers that they put in there, they're getting sent right back to them at the end of the presentation for documentation. They can use that as their notes. There's many different uses for this that we've been kind of exploring. It's still kind of new to us. We're kind of playing around with a lot of the features and kind of learning it as we go. But it's been very helpful. I know there's a few of us teachers who are already kind of taking it on and running with it. The response from students has been overwhelmingly positive. They're excited. I actually often get questions, when are we doing Pear Deck again? When can we do this again? I really like it.
Yeah.
So.
When we saw it back in October, and we were looking at the feasibility of having this, there's a paid subscription to it. So yeah, they always get them. So we kind of started talking about, well, maybe we could write a mini grant through the foundation, through the Educational Foundation, and find out if, how many teachers we can kind of get involved in this. And after having done the free trial that they give you, and having such positive feedback from our students, we were like, this is something, we have something here. So I actually went in to go see Dr. Nolan and said, okay, so initially this is what I was going to do, but it kind of went like here. Is that okay? And she said, fantastic, yes, it's fine. But then when we talked about how many teachers could be involved and everything. She said, well, how many licenses do you think you can get, for how much? And so after talking with the company and kind of going back and forth, we were able to get a license to get all teachers at Tinley Park High School, piloting it here, all teachers at Tinley Park High School a free range of all of its features until February of 2018. So Pete and I actually presented at the Institute we had 2 weeks ago, and we had some really great feedback from teachers who were kind of like, wow, this does seem really simple, this does seem really easy. And to date, I think we have about 21 teachers so far.
And we had an immediate response after the Institute Day. We had teachers coming up to us, asking more questions. How do I get started on this? Where do they sign up? And we've seen some immediate response after that.
Jim Boswell's aware of this.
Yes, oh yeah, he's totally on board with us too. He's been
Expanding
great.
it.
Pardon me?
Of expanding it to other buildings possibly.
Yes, possibly, yes.
How much
We're
is
hoping
this-
that this.
How much is the subscription?
We were able to get for the building, it was $1,500 just for the building for the year.
Okay.
But the more teachers, the more of a discount, I guess, they give you. I let Jim Boswell kind of handle that. I gave him my contact and I was like, here's this guy over at Pear Deck, why don't you talk to him? And they kind of worked something out and talked about the feasibility of having this for the district, and I think it would be fantastic if we could.
And that price also, I mean, we didn't mention that individually as teachers, it's $100 a year normally. So when we factor in how many teachers would be using it, I think that price works out significant.
How many students are in it?
I'm sorry?
How many students?
So depending on it's added during the class period. So when you're presenting information, I use it as more of an introductory kind of tool. But then they have all their notes and they have it all in one place and they can add their own little notes to it.
It works like a web page. The kids sign up when they're in class. So like the beginning of class, we'll put it up on the board and it has a little code. They just punch in that code and they're instantly in the class. So it's, all the students are using it that day. So it's just a web page as opposed to having to download an app or memberships for the students.
You had mentioned grant. Were you able to obtain a grant?
Yes, a mini grant through the Educational Foundation.
So again, that's how I look at their school improvement project. They went out on their own, found a software program, they wrote a grant for it, they provided it to every teacher at Tinley Park High School. They've already in-serviced every teacher at Tinley Park High School on our Institute Day. And again, they even had a trainer come to Tinley Park High School to train the staff how to use it. And that was all by writing the grant and using sick time to do that.
So when we're given time.
This is now with the iPad, so basically that can just reach the freshman and sophomore this year
You can use your phones as well. Yes, and as an English teacher, I've had success with that. They can use their phones. I did have a math teacher who told me he was trying it, but he has a mixed class of sophomores and juniors. When you're doing drawable slides, it is a little bit more challenging. He said that sophomores they were great with it, but that the juniors who were using their phones were having a little bit of a challenge with it, but next year we'll have
another class on board with iPads, so it'll just get better then. Unless it's going to be
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, you guys.
Hi, I'm Janet Canning. I've been a math teacher in the district for the past 8 years. Kelly Laniak, Eric Holder, and I researched integrated math as part of our ISIP project. As you may have heard, we are kind of changing things up. We are going to restructure our math curriculum from the traditional Algebra 1 geometry, Algebra 2, and change it so it's Math 1, Math 2, and Math 3 with Algebra, Geometry, and Statistics kind of combined at varying levels throughout the years. One teacher had a great way of putting it. It's basically putting all 3 subjects in a blender, blending them up, and kind of sprinkling them over all of 3 years. We knew this was going to be quite challenging to start out fresh, and we hope this new curriculum is going to make our students more critical thinkers. So we started off just by researching local school districts who adopted integrated math. We looked at the resources that they used, we looked at the student placement, and we looked at their curriculum mapping. We looked at Lamont High School, Lockport, and Downers Grove South High School. And we were given a great opportunity actually to visit the schools. We were able to observe classes, and we were able to have a dialogue with the teachers and the administrators. They gave us some highlighted pitfalls of some things to be careful of. They said reading scores are going to definitely matter a lot more when we adopt integrated math, because it will have more of an impact on them because there's a lot more reading within the new curriculum. And the teachers at Downers Grove South indicated the importance of proper placement, because students will have to do way more critical thinking with many more open-ended questions. I'm really grateful for this valuable ISIP experience, because I can now help my department navigate this new journey of developing integrated math curriculum, which will be introduced in the fall of 2018.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy O'Connor, and I teach English here, and we've just given you a packet that sort of talks about mindfulness. And I've been teaching for 27 years, and this SIP day, I did not tell this to Dr. Nolan, but this SIP day, I teach English, not math, so I don't know how many SIP days I have attended, but I can tell you that this was by far the most beneficial I've ever had. I listened to every single teacher in this building talk about great ideas that they were coming up with and implementing them in the classroom already. And it was just, it was those dream opportunities that you can sit with teachers and find out what everyone is doing, and then you know who's working on this and who's working on that, and you have people that we can go to in the building and talk to about it. So mine, I started with the idea of going to see what I could find out about ADHD. And I went, and it was called ADHD and Anxiety Disorders in Adolescents. And I found out much more about anxiety and how to sort of help students through anxiety than I did about ADHD. And I teach honors, so the stress level of these students is very, very high. But what I'm also noticing, it doesn't matter what level, what race, socioeconomic, it doesn't matter. We're stressed. Our society is a stressed out group of people. And this mindfulness is amazing. And I got online and I contacted a woman who has her degree in mindfulness from Harvard, who is willing to come to District 228 and do a workshop with students. But before that, things that don't cost money, it doesn't. This is $17, and there are 3 decks of 50 cards, and they give you these ideas. And this is what we've been doing in class. Sam, Tana, Julissa, Erica, and Sydney want to show you a presentation.
All right. Hi. So what we do before every class, and I'll remind you, this can take 15 seconds to like 2 minutes. Not long at all. But Ms. O'Connor is given a card, and she picks it out, and she reads it, and these are some of our favorites that we like doing. But mine is called Swear Breath. It says breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, and hold for a count of 4. So this probably takes me like 20 seconds. And I just don't think about anything. I just sit there, I close my eyes, and I just breathe before it counts in and out. And it's probably one of the most relaxing things I've ever done. It's just like, it's great to just take time out of your day just to like breathe. I have that
Do you do this in all your classes, or
I
you just do it in the English
actually do this before every single sporting event. So I play volleyball, basketball, and soccer, and I'm in 2 bands. So before every performance, I just sit there and I just go, and I just like do it, and then I like get up and I go. So it's probably, I started it ever since she introduced it.
Yeah, she does it in her class. She makes a point to do it either in the beginning or the end of class. That she finds time to do it no matter what, and it always helps.
So it helps me. And even if she forgets, we're like,
we always try to do it.
We remember it.
Yeah. All right. My card is called Sounds Around. This is where you notice 5 sounds around you at the moment and count them on your fingers. Being a student athlete, as some of my peers are, it's sometimes stressful dealing with homework, and doing your sports activities, like going to practice, going to games, it's not always easy. So doing this, like taking 2 minutes out of my day doing this, can relieve the stress and notice my surroundings that I don't always notice because I'm always worried about.
My activity is called Breathe, and you breathe in for a count of 7 using your fingers, and you breathe out for a count of 11 using your fingers. And this activity only takes up, for me, it takes up like a minute, and it just helps me focus on what I'm doing rather than focusing on something like negative or stressful that I might have to do with school or anything else.
So you're more advanced because you're going to 7, you're only at 4.
My favorite is called Carpe Diem. Make plans now for something you always wanted to do, whether you're going to end up doing it or not. Take some time to plan. I always like doing it so I can focus on the thing that I really want in life and how I'm going to get there. Mine is Kind Wishes, and it says to think of a kind wish for someone you care about, one for yourself, one for someone you don't really know, and for someone that bothers you. And I usually think about it's not easy at first, but you have to do it non-grudgingly. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. So I do it before I go to bed, and it just puts me in like a better place, like thinking about people and what they have to go through, and then like sympathizing more with them. So, yeah.
So the kids are just given a card and they take whatever's there, or they get to pick one that resonates with them?
We all do the same activity.
Okay.
So we'll turn off the lights and we play this relaxing music.
It's not like they're all varying forms of meditation, really.
They really are. And some of them are like, stop yourself from being hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Just check in with yourself. And like, I looked up, they're doing it at Montreal, Lyons Township. They have master's programs for teachers at Harvard, Stanford, Dartmouth. And I guess the idea is that we send, so I mean, we're in good company if we do join on this bandwagon. And I think that, when we are able to relax, then we are also able to use our brains a lot better. And they're not so stressed out about test anxiety and homework and papers, and because they are up to here all the time. And if they're not AP honors, there's still other reasons. Parents get in a fight, or some, a boyfriend, and teenagers need an outlet, I believe. Adults need an outlet, but if they can get it now and not carry this burden with them as adults, I think that they're just so much better off. And it's really simple, inexpensive, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity that, you trusted our professionalism, and I wouldn't have done it otherwise. I would have, learned about ADHD, but I wouldn't have learned about this.
But one more question.
Yeah.
All girls.
Yeah.
Do the boys do it and not admit it?
We have like 2 guys.
Yeah.
She just invited art English class because Dr. Nolan came in one day and wanted to sit through it. And in our specific English class, it's small to begin with. There's like 12 kids. And there's only 2 boys.
Oh.
And you couldn't make it over.
They
But
like
the
it?
boys,
Yeah.
the boys were
Yeah.
just as into it.
I thought they were too cool.
I witnessed.
You will see, these huge football players, cool dudes. There they are, meditating. They're ready. They really do enjoy it.
All right, I'm starting with the 4, not the 7.
What time is this class get?
So what's the name of the cards?
They are growing mindful practices for all ages, growing happy, positive psychology for teens and adults, and being mindful.
Thank you.
It was awesome to see in action in their class. It was
she
really
got to do it
cool.
with us.
It was great. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming tonight. You guys are not silver paper.
Good evening. We just want to first start by saying thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. I didn't realize I was standing still. We appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and share what we've been working on. And I want to echo Mrs. O'Connor and saying thank you to Dr. Nolan and our administrative team for giving us the opportunity to be professionals, take our own time, trusting us to actually do some research, on our own and look at something that we are interested in.
I'll say as a social worker, I wish we had more teachers like myself. I didn't know they were doing mindfulness. That's awesome. That usually falls on us, and math teachers doing it, I think is unbelievable. So I have some data here we want to pass out to you guys. I think we made enough packets for everybody. My name is Keith Hune. I'm a social worker here, and I feel weird like talking because if anything I was the kind of glue that brought everybody together. Like when we were given this opportunity, social workers, we deal a lot with behavior and behavior in the classrooms. I attended a conference at the beginning of the year as part of the school SIP team. They talked about social workers being able to work more with teachers on behavior, classroom behaviors. I thought, oh, that'd be a really cool thing to do. So I talked to other social worker, Ms. Gleason and DJ Brown, one of our teachers, said, hey, you guys want to work together on classroom behaviors and just improving classroom behaviors, things like that. And they said, yeah, let's start. And then we started talking to other teachers and we realized there are other people that are doing versions of behavior or overall school morale. I mean, so we came together and from there, it just, like, these women here are awesome and it just took off from there and the stuff that they went and found out and they brought back, it's amazing. It's really kind of scary where this is going. So I'm letting them tell what they found out as well.
So Susan Camp and I started out in a group by ourselves, and before we kind of joined forces, we decided that we wanted to look at positive behavior in the classroom. Both of us are special education teachers. We have self-contained classes and co-taught classes. So what could we do in our classroom to give a little bit of positive reinforcement when our students do well? And when I started looking around, everything was coming up PBIS, PBIS. PBIS is typically an elementary and middle school initiative. And so I thought, I wonder if any high schools are actually doing this through the official PBIS network. And when I started looking around through the state of Illinois and scrolling through these hundreds of elementary schools and middle schools, the closest high school district that I came across that had won a silver medal for PBIS initiatives was District 99, which is Downers Grove North and Downers Grove South. I happen to live right behind Downers Grove South High School, so I reached out to the assistant principal there, who was brand new to the building and had just come from Maine East. So, and she was in charge of PBIS there. So when I thought I was going to get a take on one school, I actually got information on two separate buildings, which I wasn't expecting. And through that, we talked for about an hour on the phone, and then we both decided that it would be beneficial that we come and do a site visit. And so Ms. Camp and I got to go visit the school and just had a whole day of extremely informative information from them.
Yes, like Nicole said, we're both special education teachers here, and we wanted to look at the behaviors. So our visit to Downers Grove South was very informative. We met with the assistant principal and their 4 deans, and we talked about the behavior and how that's changed tremendously at their school with the implementation of PBIS. Not only have they seen the number of referrals gone down, they also have seen an increase in test scores. And we could just tell being there, because we were there during passing periods, the whole climate of the school was very positive. They said one of the reasons it was so effective and it's been such a great implementation of the program is because they've had such buy-in from their staff. They said you really need 85% more of your staff to buy into that. And we really felt that we could do this because this fall when Dr. Nolan and the administrators rolled out the new cell phone policy, there was complete staff buy-in and we could see a difference with that. So after our meeting with the deans, we then went with the assistant principal and toured the in-school suspension rooms. So they have one for the gen ed students, one for the special education students, and those are staffed by 2 special education teachers. And they also have what they call Project 99 for those students who would have been expelled from school. They get to go to this, and this is run by a social worker from 2:30 to 5:30, I think, after school. So they also had a sensory processing room similar to our PRIDE program, like a behavior support. So that was separate from the in-school suspension room, which we thought was very valuable to keep those 2 aspects separate. And then the last part of our afternoon, we met with the 2 teachers who are the PBIS coordinators. They teach all day and then they have some release time at the end of their day to meet with students and just take care of the administrative aspects of running the program. And they were so helpful and informative, telling us how long it took them to get started, where they found the funding to do this, how now a few years into it they've reached out to their community, how they've involved their parents. So we just came back, and when we left we had a couple takeaways. We need buy-in from all of our, for a big part of our staff in order for this to work. But also they said, you really need to target 3 to 5 behaviors that you feel if were changed would make a difference in your school. So that's kind of where we came back to our team, like what are we gonna look at? What changes should we be making here at Tinley?
And we should mention that we started out looking at positive behavior, and like Dr. Nolan mentioned before, sometimes it took a different turn. Then we also started looking at discipline as well. So when we went, I said, we want to see what you guys do for PBS, but can we also see your in-school suspension room and things like that? So it took another turn. And then after our down there south visit, we decided to go to STAG, who has implemented an in-school suspension room this year, and find out how that was going for them and what the benefits were to their school and their students.
I'm Erin Collins, and I am the teacher in the Pride program here at Tinley. So like Susan had said, one of the takeaways they have is that you're going to have to identify what were some behaviors or some maybe patterns that we're seeing that might be impacting our school climate overall. So we decided that we came up with a survey. We kept it optional and we kept it anonymous, and we gave it to both the staff and the students of Tinley Park. We got a pretty good response, and we tried to identify what could be maybe 2 or 3 target behaviors or patterns that we're seeing that we could maybe try and address if we were looking to use the PBIS. And so we got responses, and there were some kind of similarities between the teacher and the students. One thing that we saw on both one of the top 3 behaviors was that there is a lack of being motivated or a self-drive to kind of learn and complete homework. Outside of that, things that we felt like we could maybe actually manage within the school building were things such as hallways being crowded, students not really, we had put it as a lack of self-restraint in how they react or talk, and the students had actually identified that as ways that they're interacting with their peers and with staff as far as tone and a level of respect in speaking. So we identified those 3, and we thought that we were going to kind of move forward and see if we felt we could put in interventions and try and change the climate that way. In the meantime, as Nicole had said, then we were able to speak with Stag High School, and we were able to go and schedule a visit over there. So now this is where we start to snowball into a little bit of different directions. In the visit there, they were fantastic, and we got to see now, we went with the hopes of talking to them about their intervention room, which has to go along with the Senate Bill 100. And then they also introduced us to their advisory room. So now this is where we're spinning again. So I will speak really quick about the intervention room, and then Joy will tell you about the advisory period they have. Their intervention room is their initiative that they put into place to try and help with the limit of suspensions and to reduce the number of suspensions, as well as change behavior and try and see positive changes once a student may have earned themselves a consequence for discipline. It is ran by a paraprofessional as well as a certified staff member all day long. Students may be put in there if they have a reduction in suspension. They also may be placed in there if they are credit deficient. They also use Edgenuity, and we were able to kind of swap some helpful hints with each other there. The room is anywhere from, there may be 1 or 2 students scheduled in there on a daily basis for classroom or for credit recovery, but there also may be 3 or 4 kids that are added in there if they are coming off of a suspension or if they are in lieu of suspension. That they work very closely with the counselors as well as the social workers to then try and have a reintegration process and go through talking about what led up to the suspension, what could have been done differently, and they try and process to reintegrate the student in hopes of completing a form and also moving forward from there to see a reduction in that behavior from that student. So while we were there, we learned a lot about credit recovery. We learned a lot about how they have a separate in-school suspension room in and of itself. This is specifically targeting students that are having recurring behaviors. They can be both special ed or gen ed, but it's also utilizing the social workers and the guidance counselors in conjunction with the teacher. And then they showed us their advisory room.
I'm Dory Neman. I'm a school counselor here at Tinley. As Erin said, we did get to view several different advisory periods while we were at SCAG. What's interesting is all students are assigned to an advisory coming in as freshmen. So in their advisory, they're assigned alphabetically, so they stay with the same counselor and the same 2 teachers all 4 years. So what's great about this is right from the beginning, they start developing a relationship with 2 additional staff members who probably are not even their classroom teachers. And so the period that we were able to visit was a junior class. So those students had all been together for 3 years with the same 2 staff members, who now the 2 staff members have a great relationship, as well as the 25 students that are in there. So we saw a counselor able to go in there, and she was presenting course selection information to just her group of students, and was able to answer more questions specific to her students rather than to a large group. So I saw that the students really seemed to enjoy that. They were able to ask thoughtful questions of her and more specific to their own individual needs. Then we went to 2 senior classrooms, which I was so impressed by. Again, being a school counselor, what we're always trying to do is motivate our students. We're trying to help them academically, and we're also trying to help them figure out what their post-secondary plans are. That's what we start with them. From the minute they come in as freshmen, we're working with them. And what was nice was seeing this partnership. It wasn't all just the counselor talking to the student about failing grades, talking to them about, hey, where are you going to college? It was those 2 teachers/mentors that they had been working with from freshman year to senior year. So we asked the students, what has been the best part of being in the advisory? They mentioned the relationships with their teachers, that they're looking out for them, that they're giving them the extra help that they need. That they have an interest in them, that they also have this bond with the other students in their classroom. So, you know, what I also took away from it was that the teachers themselves are also stakeholders in the grades. It's not just that student doing it at home or just with the classroom teacher. On Monday, when they meet in advisory, the one teacher sitting at a computer, they're pulling up the grades, and they'll call, hey Keith, come up here, and they review grades with that student. And then they tell them, when we have, what was the thing called when they went to study? Do you remember? When they go to work with the individual teacher? I forgot what it's called, I'm sorry. But 2 days a week they're in advisory, another 2 days they go and they meet with their classroom teacher for tutoring, kind of like our connection period used to be. So they would say, you need to go meet with your math teacher on Tuesday, and they kind of fill out an assignment slip. So then they're giving that to you so you know where you need to go for the extra help.
During the school day.
Yes, during the school day. So they have like 5 different schedules based on whether you're having an advisory day, an intervention day. They also have different tiers. If you're an IEP student, you would go for academic intervention to your AIT teacher rather than to a classroom teacher. Yeah, so it's highly organized. They've been doing this now, I believe, for 5 years. So they've kind of seen how it's progressed from the very first group through the graduating class. And it was just a great partnership to see.
So from here, we're kind of potentially going in a couple different directions. Some ideas are looking at grants as to how we could fund some type of PBIS program in our building. When we were at South, they talked about how they had to start out with a grant in order to fund that. And also looking at potentially proposing some type of advisory in-school suspension room, academic intervention room here at Tinley Park High School in the future. What we did learn through all of this is that it's not a quick process. Everyone that we talked to said that it took a year, 2 years, 5 years to completely roll out and see its success.
Something that you didn't mention that I saw here when I was flipping through it is recognizing the kids who are doing the right thing, which is something we've heard several times over. So I'm real glad that that's something you're going to be incorporating as well. And I'm an advocate for in-school suspension.
Yeah, there are reward systems built in, you know, so students can be recognized individually, entire classroom groups. Even within advisory, sometimes they compete against each other. You know, so at the end of a quarter, this classroom had the best attendance or the best grades overall, so they can be recognized for that. It just kind of depends on whatever the focus of that advisory time period is going to be.
And at Downer South, they're recognizing students and teachers every Friday and delivering something to their classroom.
Now, is their school day any longer to accommodate this extra time for advisory, or their class times are the same amount? How do they work in the time to have all this extra?
I know at STAG, the class periods are shorter. They're 49 minutes. instead of 55 minutes, and then the advisory period, I believe, was
30
31
minutes,
minutes.
yeah, or 31.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird breakdown, but they've been doing it now, I said,